So George, I wanted to, before we start talking about all your amazing achievements, because I love like everything that you've done is really inspiring to me. I just want to kind of take it back to like where you started from a younger age. You know, any hardships you kind of went through, and then...
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that with the achievements and stuff. But where did I start? So I grew up in Haringey. I don't want to sound like fucking get the violins out straight away, but like there wasn't loads of money, but I had a great upbringing, man. Like just like loving family, 2 sisters, like mum and dad always there. Like, but I grew up in Haringey, like great community. Like spent a lot of time on the streets, like a lot of people my age, just playing football, fucking about Finsbury Park, you know, literally playing until like, you know, it was dark and you couldn't see anything. There was no lights in the street lights. It was just literally like, you know, that's when you'd come in. You know, in terms of hardships, like there isn't anything really. There is one thing. It's a bit of a, I don't know if I've ever said this to anyone. So this could be like a world exclusive for anyone who's listening. But my first pair of trainers were a pair of hand-me-downs from a mate, and they weren't even trainers. They were roller skates.
Swear.
And my parents fucking smashed the wheels off the roller skates, and they were my first pair of trainers, and I was slipping everywhere. So I think that is the reason why I'm obsessed with trainers.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's just that fucking thing stuck with me.
Yeah, because
I was so embarrassed.
You got quite a collection.
Yeah. So I was so embarrassed, but like it's just, you know, and I think it held me back actually, because if I had trainers like from an earlier age, I could have been an even better football player. I could have been like,
you never know.
Yeah, they could have been like comparing me to Ronaldo and Messi. You know?
That's deep, man.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because that trauma generally spills out into later on in life, and that's hence why you got all these like big shoe collections now.
I think it's a real thing. If I look at all the things that I've quote unquote achieved, and we've all got our own definitions of success, and like thanks again for, you know, for saying that some of my achievements have been impressive. But I genuinely believe that, like, whether it's starting a business, whether it's whatever you're pursuing in life, it typically comes out of like inspiration or desperation. And I feel like a lot of it's desperation. Like you go through a particular experience, you might not even think it was a big deal at the time, but then later on in life, like there's things in you that are like drive you towards something or drive you away from something to go and achieve something bigger and better because of something you experienced. Yeah. So definitely didn't have like a hardship type upbringing.
Fair play.
But yeah, I love where I come from. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting because like, looking back now, it wasn't something that I really acknowledged then, because all I gave a shit about was playing football with my mates, and that was it. But when we'd play at Finsbury Park every day and be like, oh, where's Dwayne, or where's Tom, or where's James, or where's Jamie, or wherever, like I never really clocked it properly. But like one guy was like arrested, another guy was this, another guy went to Feltham for like stabbing someone. But like you're just around that. But it wasn't. I wasn't involved in that. Yeah. But you're just around that. It was just the boys playing football. Like there were certain people that were into certain things, and there was certain of us that all we cared about was football. That was life. Yeah. You know, it's before girls. Before it was just that was life.
Yeah, and you, because obviously you was from Wolverhampton.
I can relate to that a little bit. It's kind of like you're on the roads, but you're from the roads, but you're not on the roads, kind of thing.
Exactly right. I'm like not a road man, but like,
you're on the roads.
Yeah, you're aware of it. And the other thing is, I'm fucking. We were talking about gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. Like even driving here, because like now you're aware of certain things. There's something that 50 Cent said, like that every time he does business with people, like for the last 20, 30 years, that he's in a boardroom or he's in a business meeting, and he says like, not even a shadow of a doubt, like these people that I'm talking to, that I'm meeting with, they're all smarter than me. They've all been educated better than me, longer than me, further education, whatever. But what they haven't got is they haven't come from where I've come from. And I don't believe that they could have come from where I've come from and still made it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing myself to 50 Cent. But what I'm saying is, it just makes you aware of certain things. So I'll give you an example. I'm driving here today. I'm coming out of Hampton Square, and I'm in traffic, and I see a woman walking up the road, and it looks like she's crying. Yeah, so straight away my mind's like, is she crying? If she is crying, like, should I pull over and see if she's all right? Then I'm like, this could be a scam. Like, it could
you don't
get me wrong. Like, you might be thinking, fucking hell, like, relax, man. But like, these things are happening all the time.
Yeah.
For sure,
and so like, I've got 2 kids. Like, I'm constantly aware of the upbringing they've got compared to what I've got. And it's not just the whole street credibility, but just being aware and being observant of certain things that go on around you. When you go to Barcelona and like you're walking down La Alhambra's popular street and there's loads of pickpockets, like you go to Chicago, like just being aware. Like I'm grateful that I've been born and raised in London, where like you saw lots of things. There's I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but one of the guys in my mastermind, tree surgeon based in Newquay in Cornwall, and so he's actually from a little village just outside, and so everyone knows each other. And it was one Tuesday morning, he rocks up, he got there quite early, 5-hour drive, so he comes every month, 5-hour drive there, 5-hour drive back, spend the day with us as well. And like truly humbling. But that aside, he parked at the train station, all right? So he parked there all day, and it's like a 30-second walk from there to my office, right? So nice sunny day, he's walking on Tuesday morning, and he comes into my office, and he was like, he's fucking like, seen a ghost. Like, what's going on, man? You all right? He just looked distraught, like he was ill. I was like, what's wrong? He goes, I was just walking from the train station to your office, and I saw this guy. Like, I looked at him, he looked at me, and I said, "Oh, morning." And the geezer goes, "Fuck off." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, because he's not used to that, So I'm like, bro, like, what business have you got telling the geezer, like, saying to the guy, like, "Good morning"? Like, it's your fucking fault. Do you know what I mean? But the point is, all these people come from different parts of the country or different parts of the world. They're not used to that.
Do you know what I mean? I was having this
conversation
today with one girl from the tattoo studio. And she's a piercer. She's from up north, and she was saying that she says hello to everyone, but it's like people look at her like she's crazy. So now she's just like, you know what? I'm not saying hello to anyone anymore.
Well, the thing is, like, I think there's a bit of a stigma in London anyway, where we're not the most open people. Like to say hello, like compared to say like Americans, they'll just talk to everybody and everyone and like open a conversation, which I think is brilliant, by the way.
Get on the tube and see like everyone's head down.
Headphones on, like
no one's
look at
on
newspaper.
Everyone's kind of a little. Is it fear?
Reserved.
Would you say it's fear?
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it's fear. I mean, look, these days you don't know like what fucking some crazy person's going to do. Like there's that element to it as well. But I just feel like exactly. It's quite cosmopolitan. Like everyone's just like, oh shit, like big city.
Because we had our guests, Paul, speak about this, where they came from like this small kind of village where everyone knew each other, and so did his son, and he was happy when his son moved out of there because he wanted to experience a lot more. He didn't want him to get stuck in that comfort zone, and then not be like of more of an understanding. I think like the more you move around into different places, the more you get a good understanding of what like cultures are like, what people are like.
It's great life lessons. I'm super grateful to like been born and raised in London and Haringey. It just switches you on to certain things. But don't get me wrong, there's people that I grew up with that still ain't got no street smarts, and they're with me every step of the way. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just you grew up in a certain area, you know. 100%.
And it's you know, I think these lessons you can just take with you like every step of the way. To be fair, so it was quite interesting because in my earlier years I was in a nice area, I was in a nice fluential area, and then as I got older I started hanging around in like Walthamstow with all the goons, and to be honest I used to love it. I used to actually like thrive off of it.
Rough around the edges.
Yeah, that's right. And it was good because you just saw a completely different perspective, and you know, and do you know what, there was still a good positive vibe from it. Like it wasn't like all negative, but people were like quite united. They wanted to like aspire. There were like mini entrepreneurs already. So it was really cool to see it.
Yeah, I love that hunger. Like, you know, it's difficult. Like you can't replicate it. You've either got it or you haven't. And in certain areas, like in those environments, like it's a breeding ground, and you can then choose whether you use that
in the right way. That's right.
But I spent quite a bit of time in Walthamstow growing up as well, and Leytonstone and Black Horse Road, and got family. Just like, and you go to another area that isn't your area, but it's similar, and now you've got to be even more vigilant because it's not your place, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Got to be respectful. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, and then I recall you went to uni as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not academic at all. Like the opposite. But my dad is super academic.
Good with numbers.
I'm good with numbers because they interest me. But yeah, my dad's really academic, and look, rightly or wrongly, like we were just having a conversation before before coming onto the show, onto the podcast, and about gratitude and people like around you, like with the, you know, they've got the best intentions. And so I've got two sisters. I remember I took my sisters out for dinner about 2 years ago at Gaucho in Hampstead, and nice. And we're chatting away, and we started like talking and reminiscing about our upbringing and whatever, and And at one point, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm so grateful for all the lessons Dad gave us. Yeah. And I started reading them off. Like, I'm like 8 or 9 deep into all these lessons. And they're both sitting there staring at me. And they're like, we've never fucking heard those lessons before. So, like, there were certain things that my dad told me that he didn't tell my sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in his mind, like, come from a little village to a big city in London, for him, like, you have to go university. You have, as a man, you got to be the breadwinner. Like, all these kind of things that he like, because that's just where he came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there was all of that side of it as well. And I think, like, all these, you know, they've got good intentions. So I went to university basically to please my dad.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't because I wanted to go.
Yeah,
That's the
fair
same
enough.
with
Yeah.
me, to tell you.
Yeah, where did you go?
I went Brunel.
Okay, that's a good uni, man. For
Yeah,
someone
well,
that's like, oh, I'm just going to go to please someone else. I couldn't get into Brunel, I'll tell you that now.
Yeah.
No, it's because I think it was because I done like I done performing arts and English, so I done like kind of like 4 A levels, but it was like a BTEC and an A level. So I think because of that, that's what got me in, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Where did you
Nice.
go?
I went to Teesside in Middlesbrough.
Okay.
Like, I love Middlesbrough. If anyone sees this from Middlesbrough, I love it. Shithole, but I love it.
Yeah.
Like, great part of my life. But this is the thing, though. My dad was like, "You're going uni, you're going uni, going uni." I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll go uni." But I'm going 300 fucking miles away, or
Yeah.
277 to be exact. But
Yeah, so did you choose to go to Middlesbrough?
yeah, I just wanted to go as far as possible.
Oh, did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
Wow,
like
yeah,
literally
fair play.
like 45 minutes an hour from like the Scottish border. Like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah, fair
But I had a great fucking time. But again, everyone's super friendly up there, man.
Mm.
Go to supermarket, everyone's chatting to me. I'm like,
It's refreshing,
Yeah,
isn't it,
yeah.
a little bit?
yeah. At the beginning, I was like,
You don't
the
have
fuck
to
do
take
you
it.
want? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is refreshing.
That
It's lovely,
London
man.
side
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah, no, it's lovely, man. But yeah, so I went up like 300 miles away.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like going to university, you do get a lot of independent skills coming. That was probably quite healthy for you to leave early,
Yeah,
especially
it
in our community, like the Greek community, Turkish community. Like, you get spoiled. You can get a bit spoiled in that.
Only son as well.
Yeah. I'm sure. And the girls had to. And your sisters were staying at home.
Yeah, not so much, but yeah. But yeah, so it was great. I mean, to be fair, forget the reason that I went. Like, I went a boy and I came back a man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because you
love
just
that,
gotta learn.
evolve.
Yeah, man, you
Yeah,
learn. Like,
yeah.
if you want to wear those clothes, like, you got to wash them, dry them, iron them.
Yeah.
Like, you want to eat, you can't be eating takeaways every day for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I've broken the world record for takeaways
Oh,
since
really?
I moved out here. Yeah,
What you want? How many days?
Yeah, not too many days.
You might
Enough
go
days.
You're like,
I'm busy anyway, so I'm content with it all. To be fair, so you came back from uni, and then what happened next?
Yeah, so yeah, good question actually. So so I was like deep into my degree. Again, not academic. Like, it took me a while to get on, but I had to do resits at GCSEs and like even to get to university, and then I did a diploma to then transfer that into a degree, and then I was in my third year of the degree, and my uncle passed away, my dad's brother, and so I came back for the funeral. And as difficult as it was, I didn't realise it until I went back to university. And that year I was living by myself as well, because it was the final year. I'm supposed to be studying and like taking it seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how lonely I would get, because it was one thing
Yeah,
coming down and
100%.
being around the family. Everyone's grieving, everyone's mourning, like been to the funeral together, whatever. But everyone's together. And then I went back there and I was by myself, and I just fell into like a weird place, man. Like, I was smoking a lot of weed. Like I got into like this weird insomnia.
Yeah,
Like, I wasn't sleeping at night. I was sleeping during the day. I went for a whole week of like not seeing any daylight, and it wasn't like it was like the depth of winter, by the way. Like,
yeah,
you
so
know,
like
and
sun
I
or
was like,
summer.
really, yeah, it just really fucked with my head and my body clock, and it was just a weird time. Anyway, so I pulled the plug and I moved back to London, and then transferred to Middlesex University in Hendon and just finished my degree there.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Yeah, and so because of that transfer, there was the majority of the modules were transferable, some were not, and then I was almost finished, and then they had I was in university like maybe sometimes 2.5 days a week, and I was working at Starbucks in Muswell Hill, and because I wasn't in university all the time, and it wasn't like the whole online presence that we've got now and like communication, whatever. Long story short, I went for my final exam, which was 2 p.m. I got there like 12:30, but they moved it to a 9 a.m. and no one told me. So I'm like, I found the room that I've got my exam in, but I'm looking through the window and like everyone in my class is in the fucking exam.
Oh, that's peak.
Yeah, man. So I was like, oh man, I'm such a dickhead.
Man.
So I had to wait until the next opportunity, which was 6 months later.
Is that
So
long?
it was long, man. And so all my mates graduated, and a lot of my mates got first class degrees,
Wow.
and they couldn't get a job.
to educated
Yeah,
to qualify.
No experience.
Oh, okay.
So I've got a first class degree, but no experience, right?
Okay.
So now I've got 6 months to kill. I'm just fucking about at Starbucks. And so I had a mate of mine who had a web design business, but also seasonally did like firework distribution, like for about 6 to 8 weeks over Guy Fawkes and Diwali and whatever, would make like a killing in those like 6 to 8 weeks. And so he needed a delivery driver. So I went to help him out. So I was actually delivering fireworks for him just around London. And then I was just seeing that all his paperwork was just all over the place, and it was really fucking bugging me. So I organised his entire processes, like in his business, like everything from start to finish. And his father-in-law saw me do that over a space of a couple of weeks. And his father-in-law was the senior partner of an accountancy and insolvency firm, and said, look, we've got someone going on maternity leave for 6 months. Why don't you come and get some office experience? That way, by the time you finish your degree, you've now got 6 months under your belt, you're more employable. So I was like, that sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
so I did that. Didn't have a clue what insolvency was. Basically, it's for anyone listening that doesn't know what it is, it's the industry that deals with bankruptcies, liquidations, and similar services. And within 6 months, like I just fell in love with it because I was dealing with so many different diverse businesses and the reasons that they would go bust or have debt problems. And then unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, unfortunately, insofar as I experienced someone commit suicide within 6 months because of money problems. And it just changed the way I saw everything in life. And so I was like, that's it, I'm going all in on this industry. Like there's no fucking way that anyone is gonna like even come close to committing suicide on my watch because of money. Now don't get me wrong, there's like growing up you hear and see like on TV or films or whatever about people committing suicide and stuff, and you know there's lots of different reasons. So someone might have been abused like physically or emotionally or like sexually or whatever. Like I can't speak to any of that. That's not my expertise. But I was learning more and more. I was always fascinated with money and numbers and that sort of thing. So I was learning quite rapidly in that industry, and I was like, there's no way that, like, there's never a good reason to commit suicide, but not because of fucking money.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I mean?
But there wasn't,
tough,
the thing is, there wasn't enough people like you as well, where it was like, when we were speaking about accountants, they're very kind of like rigid and one-dimensional, like you must do this, you got to do this. With people like you, you're almost like the gap between the entrepreneur and the accountant that says you got to do things legitimately.
100%.
But there are things that you can bend to work for you rather than against you. Because if you follow literally everything by the book, running a business, by law, by everything, you're not going to ever have a business. That's the truth. You've got to make sure everything is working for you, not against you. That's the...
100% agree. I mean, for the purpose of anyone that might be listening to this, we always do everything legal and above board.
That's right.
But the reality is, look, like, we all have different definitions of success, right? And so when we look at certain people and there's certain characteristics or certain things that we like will tick a box and say they seemingly are successful. Like there's certain things that people do because they're aware, they're in the know of how to maximize a business or profit or reduce your liabilities in different places or just move things around, completely legitimately. But it's like one of those things, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know in many respects, you know? And so like the thing that got me is that there was a lack of education or a lack of information where people were scared of certain things. Like if they're owed money, like it's not that they're afraid of, it's the fuck, like could a bailiff knock on the door and my kids answer the door tomorrow morning? Like that's the real fear. Or I get a letter and I've got to go to court.
How am I going to pay all
my house
bills?
is going to be repossessed. Like those are the fears, right? So I just thought like I know stuff. Like I know that if a bailiff knocks on your door, this is what they're legally allowed to do, and this is what you can do and say to them to get rid of them. But no one's
educating
sharing that information.
that's right.
Are you mad? Like why are you not like people are fucking like falling into depression and like drinking and taking drugs and like, you know.
But this is why cash is king, isn't it? Like,
man.
If you don't have money in the bank to pay for everything that you got to pay for, then and it isn't about breaking the law. It's about doing the right thing to make sure you've got cash in the bank so you can pay everybody when you're meant to actually pay people. And you're that buffer. And that's what you're trying to create.
I just feel like I'm a vessel. Like I've got some information, and I feel like more people need to know it, and
100%.
more people need to be reminded of it on a regular basis. Because we forget stuff or certain things happen. But they also, like, the other thing is that, like, I don't believe that any one of us can be the best version of ourselves if we're distracted by money problems. And so, like, unfortunately, like, people commit suicide because of money. Fortunately, it doesn't happen as often as it could. But there's other less serious but still serious things that happen. Like people fall into depression because of money problems.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not condoning this, but they might become violent, or they might be impatient with their children. They might not spend any time at home. They might not be the carer that they need to be. They might argue with the other half. Like there's a lot of divorces that people don't talk about, but there's a lot. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know have the stats because they don't track them to this level of depth, but I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of divorces are because of money problems.
Yeah.
You know, so like it puts a lot of strain on people, and you can't be the best version of yourself if you're distracted by money. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is, look, I can share some stuff that can it can get rid of the anxiety or the fear of what could happen, so you can chill, and now you can start with the right frame of mind, the right energy, put together a plan to move forward. And not be like anxious and worried every time the phone rings or you get a message or you get an email, the doorbell rings. That it's like someone's that's going to fucking ask for money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's stressful, man. It does create a lot of anxiety, you know, if you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, and you always think the worst.
Yeah.
You know,
and people fear the unknown.
Fear the unknown. Yeah.
Do you know what though? There's two fundamental parts. There's the knowing, and then there's the actual doing something with that information. And it must be quite interesting for you on your journey where you can educate 100 people in a room, but unless they actually do something with it doesn't actually mean anything, right? And that's something that I've seen a couple of times where it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. Even though what you're really trying to do is save them from something that could be quite detrimental to their whole life. So, but sometimes people got to get burnt as well. That's
exactly what I was going to say. Like I feel like on some level it's a good thing for people to experience like a enough of is enough moment. Like something's got to break or snap. Not necessarily, hopefully not literally, but like something's got to snap in them in their mind where they're like, that's it. I'm not tolerating this life anymore. And you make a change. But some people like they go through that, they go through these snaps, but they don't learn the lesson, they don't change, they don't do anything. And for me, I'm like, well, like I've experienced a few enough is enough moments. That suicide example was 100% one of them. The other thing is that I'm very aware and very observant that like we were just talking outside, like I'm aware like the thing that you just shared about your cousins, like I'm looking to learn from that. Like I don't need to go through like daily, weekly, monthly of my own enough is enough moments. Why don't I learn from other people? Like
by listening.
Sammy was talking about learning the other day on our podcast about the free.
There's 3 ways you can learn by like experience. You can learn by witness, like watching, and the best way is if you can do it, learn by listening to others. Because
but when you're young,
it's hard though, isn't it?
But when you're young, you generally want to learn through experience.
That's it.
But then when you get older, I generally think you start listening more, and the more you actually listen, like. You don't have to do everything like that somebody else says or that bit of advice, but just by listening allows you of a new path to walk down if you want to choose to. Don't even need to fight the other person. They've just given you another opportunity to look at something in a totally different angle that you never had before. And that's the thing is because one of the biggest things is we assume we know too much. And the best thing to do is assume you know absolutely nothing.
You talk about that a lot.
Only fools know everything.
Yeah, well, honestly, I literally went through life probably a little bit insecure thinking I didn't know this or I didn't know that. And it actually worked to my advantage because I absorbed more. I was like, I wasn't afraid to ask a silly question. I wanted to understand things. I always got to try and understand things. So I'll ask as many questions as I need to get to that place of understanding. But then you got to do something with it, haven't you?
100%. I just feel like it's look, we all want different things, and I keep saying it. I'm probably going to say it another 10 times, like in the next hour or so. But like about everyone's got their own definition of success and their own priorities and what's important. But like, why would you only learn from your own mistakes?
It's not enough. It's not enough.
People make mistakes all day, every day around you, as well as your own mistakes. Like you could be just absorbing all of that, and just learning. And the other thing I see people doing, and look, I'm 100% not coming from a place of like, I'm sitting up here as the oracle, whatever. I'm just like, you go through certain things, you see certain things, and I've made so many mistakes in the past, and I see people making the mistakes now, and I pull them up on it in a loving way. I appreciate that. Again, I'm just trying to feel the energy. Some people need an arm around them. Some people need to be dug out. Like some people, I need to say, look, I thought you were a boss, man. I thought you were a leader. like, I thought you were committed, but obviously I was wrong.
He said that to me once.
Yeah, but look, whatever it takes to get the
reality
person
check.
to do, man. And so I'm aware of that, but like I was 100% the kind of person that was extremely insecure for a couple of reasons, which I'm 100% comfortable sharing. One is my height. It used to bother me a lot growing up. Massive problem for me. And I lost my hair at a very young age. And so these two things like really fucked my confidence. And so I had an inferiority complex that I thought I was less than everyone else. And weirdly, before I properly navigated through it, I turned that into a superiority complex. So like all of a sudden I'm insecure, I feel low, like I'm low on confidence, but to make myself feel better, I'd put other people down. So they're almost like I'm like putting other people down because I'm better.
Bring yourself
so
up.
I turned a fucking inferiority complex into a superiority complex, which is fucking
did it
ridiculous.
work, by the way?
No, it didn't work. I mean, it worked short term because it made me feel better in the moment.
Did
it? That's it.
Yeah.
But it was just I was young, foolish, immature, like, and I see people making the same mistakes as men now, and like I try and open up. Going back to what you said, like you can open all the doors, but like people have got to walk through it themselves.
Yeah.
And so my thing was, I'm insecure, and I just use like being the joker in the class at school as my mechanism to be like, look, if I take the piss out of Sammy, then I'll take the piss out of George.
They'll divert the attention.
Like everyone else is looking at them.
Yeah.
And so if they're looking at them, they ain't looking at me.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I don't fucking know how many times like other people went home crying that day because I was a cunt, basically, you know, to make myself feel better. So, you know, these are things that I didn't really learn from and come out of until well into my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, it's almost embarrassing for me to fucking say that. Like, but
better late than never.
yeah, exactly. But like, I see a lot of people doing these kind of things.
Still
it's not even really late, really, if you
30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, but there's so many examples of it. Like, it's like you could be in a room with other people and you've got to talk the most or talk the loudest, or you've got to go and buy that car, even though like you shouldn't have got it because like there's other priorities in your life, or you go and buy a luxury watch when it hasn't come out of profit or it hasn't come out of passive income. It's you borrowed the money. Like just for, like what are we doing? Do you know what I mean? Let's just take a step back, because these things, whilst they might make you feel good in the short term, and like, I'm fully aware that like I've quote unquote achieved what I've achieved and I've got what I've got, but like anything that I've achieved, like that I've bought that's materialistic. And I'm like 100% spent a lot of money like on shit that I didn't need to do, and like I was flexing, and it was all on credit cards, and I ended up with a lot of debt myself, ironically. But there's a lot of other things that have been taken care of before I go and buy those things now. Yeah, you know, like. Yeah.
Well, the kind of like art to wealth, how I've understood it, right, is invest in assets that create passive income that allow you to live that life that you want to live. But if you try and like buy all the materialistic stuff now, then you're pretty much paying for it all later on, essentially.
On the never as which I think was a term like from up north, but it, like a lot of Londoners like when I grew up, like it was like my parents' generation, they used to talk about like everyone's buying everything on the never. Basically, is when you buy something on HP, where basically you're buying something expensive that you can't afford, you've got no business buying. And you're spreading it over like an obscene amount of months and years.
Because one thing I love about this statistics you told me about credit cards, about the free the business model, like that element of the financial industry and the financial world is a very clear business model. So you've got three types of consumers. So if we've all got credit cards, we've got, let's just say for example, you're the kind of person that spends every month and you pay it off in full every single month, right? That's not really what the credit card company wants, because they're not charging you loads of interest and they haven't got you by the balls basically for years. So, but they've got to have that option there for people like you. So that's you. They're not making any money from you. Yeah. Then you've got, let's say, George, who spends every month and then pays the minimum every single month. And that is the dream client, because you're spending all the time, but you're paying the minimum amount off, so they've got you for 5, 10, 15, 20, in some cases 30 fucking years. Wow, man. And like in many cases, nobody ever pays off the actual capital, it's just the interest, right? Yeah. Then you've got the third person, that's me, that's like spending like wildly on the credit cards and then goes bankrupt. I've got no assets, so they don't make any money out of me, they don't make any money out of you, but they make
enough money out of you
to cover that,
to cover me and you 10 times over, 100 times over. Think about it.
That's mad.
Like
that's why you got to get like the interest-free credit cards for that period of time, and then you got to switch it over. But it's important when you got a credit card, how you got to be so responsible, because it can either work for you or it can totally work against you, and that slight bit of being kind of irresponsible, or it can wipe you out, can't it?
Yeah, and that, I mean, wipe you out, like you say, like wipe you out. It could wipe you out like short term, but that could stay with you for the rest of your adult life, which means that you're always playing catch up, which means that you're always going to have some level of cash flow problems, whether you're employed or you're running a business, because you're playing catch up. And then that's the breeding ground for being distracted, not being the best version of yourself, arguing with your missus, not being like present or patient with your kids. Do you know what I mean? Because of what? Because they couldn't fucking taught us that at school.
Do you know
what I mean?
They didn't.
It's a trap, man.
Yeah, of course it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Do you know what?
Just on this point though, like the reason it's a trap, right? So this is a great fucking country, right? Let's say it as it is. Like we've got so many opportunities here, right? You go back 50 years, 100 years, 150 years, 200 years, like more so the 100 years plus, right? This country was self-sufficient, which means they produced steel and coal and like everything that the country needed. As an island, we didn't need anyone else, yeah? It was self-sufficient. And they used to export all that stuff. Slowly, all those industries have died off. So if you look back over the last 20, maybe even 30 years, the biggest export out of this country is not any material things, it's financial services, right? So if you've got a 60, 70 million strong population, of which 40 to 50 million are adults, it makes sense not to educate people so that they buy into the biggest export that you've got anyway. So now they're in the trap, and now we can also sell to other countries, and like
it becomes like a hamster wheel, doesn't it?
Yeah, man.
That's insane, bro.
So I remember so last year I was trying to get a property, and my credit rating was quite low. And the reason why my credit rating was low was because I didn't have lots of bills.
You get damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Damned if you do, damned
if you don't have a credit card, then you're not. They don't know if you're a good person to lend money to.
I got a credit card. I got $5,000 in debt. I started paying my bills off regularly. My credit rating went through the roof. So as if to encourage you to get there.
Yeah.
And as long as it's good debt. And that's quite the other interesting thing about making debt work for you.
Yep.
You know, but if you are irresponsible, it can be total wipeout.
100%. So, like, I'll give you an example on that. So I'm an Arsenal fan, and when Arsenal moved to the Emirates. And it was the first season there, so we're going back to 2006. So I went to a game, my first ever game at the Emirates, like buzzing. And so I'm like, I got there early, and we're walking around the stadium, and there's all these like stalls outside the stadium. And there's one that had like these like really cool Arsenal caps. Caps don't suit me, but I wanted one for my eldest nephew, right? I say eldest, like at the time he was young, but now he's like just turned 18. And so I wanted a cap. So I went up to the girl at the store, whatever. I was like, oh, how much for a cap? She goes, they're free. I was like, oh, cool. All you got to do is sign up to a credit card. MBNA Arsenal credit card. So they're in partnership now, yeah? MBNA at the time with Arsenal, right? So you get a nice little red credit card that says MBNA and Arsenal all over it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want a credit card. She was like, well, you got to get a credit card. You can't buy it. Like, you need to sign up to a credit card to get it. I was like, look, let me just give you a tenner. Just tell your supervisor that one fucking blew away. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was adamant she didn't want, like, she wasn't having none of it. So anyway, I signed up to the fucking credit card. Right? When I tell you, like, hand on heart, all I put down on this fucking form was my name and my address. That's it. Like, there's the rest of the form that she was like, don't even bother. Just name and address. That's it. 2 weeks later, I get a $9,000 credit card.
Fuck.
$9,000 limit, yeah? Now, they don't know how irresponsible or responsible I am with money. That's $9,000 just to get a cap. Now, at the time, this was obviously pre-2008, pre-credit crunch, banking crisis, whatever, yeah? Now, obviously, I'm working in the insolvency industry anyway, so I'm kind of seeing all that stuff as well, right? And so my mind's thinking, fuck me, like, it took me like 15 seconds to sign up for a credit card, and they just give me $9,000. No credit check, no have I got a job, how much do I earn, can I even pay it back, nothing, right? I was like, I could literally like walk down the high street, any high street, go into Halifax, go into Woolwich, go into Barclays, go into NatWest, go into Lloyds, go into HSBC, and go and get between 5 and 10 grand credit card just like that straight away. I could have 100 grand worth of credit, yeah?
Mad.
And then I could spend the next 3 to 6 months withdrawing £300 per day on each card, and now in 6 months' time I'm sitting on 100 grand cash. right? And I could put that under my bed.
Yeah,
that's where people put money, right?
Yeah.
And then I could delay it. Yeah, I could delay it for a couple of months, like give a sob story, tell all the credit card companies that I don't have a job and I'm going to pay it back or whatever, and then go bankrupt. And I could go bankrupt for less than £1,000.
Wow.
So now I've got 99 grand in cash just sat there, but I've got a bad credit score.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm still young.
Yeah.
Now, side note, one of the things that I taught myself how to do working in the insolvency industry, because there was a gap, was anyone that came to us for advice, like, had some debt challenges going on, right? So by default, they had a bad credit score either in business or personally, by default. So I started to mess about with my own credit score, miss a few payments, get a default, see how quickly I could get back up. And so I was selling that as a side service. So I was like, they say 6 years, blacklist doesn't exist. That's a myth. There's no blacklist. Basically, it's on your credit file for 6 years. There's certain things you can do, there's certain things you can't do. Like getting a mortgage is going to be almost impossible, whatever. But I taught myself, and I started selling this as a service, that I can get you back on track to get a mortgage within 2 to 3 years, even if you've gone bankrupt. So as a young person, like, I could have gone bankrupt, I could have rebuilt my credit score, and now I'm sitting on a £99,000 cash deposit for a property. Are you mad? I could have fucking gone and bought 4 or 5 properties.
That's insane.
Do you know what I mean? That's how the system was set up, and that's why it fucking came crashing down, because there was these, like, that's just one example.
Yeah.
I can give you another example. There was these things called ninja mortgages, right? So they were pumping out mortgages pre-2008. So ninja is an acronym. It stands for no income, no job, or assets.
As a mortgage.
So are you mad? Like, I can go and borrow 200 grand, 300 grand, 500 grand, or maybe even I can buy a 300 grand property, but borrow 350 grand. Don't even lend me even more than what it's worth. I've got no job, so I've got no chance of repaying it. I've got no other income, no chance of repaying it. I've got no assets to leverage. I've got nothing, and they're still lending it to me. How mad is that?
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah.
Like, this was how irresponsible.
The banks
on
were.
some level, irresponsible it was from our point of view.
Yeah.
But they knew what they were doing, because don't forget, like, they'll get a bit of money from you if you're that type of consumer that I mentioned a minute ago. They won't get any money from me because I'm going to go bankrupt. But
I'm making them rich.
And the business model works.
Yeah.
Until such time as one bank
Yeah.
like collapses and there's a knock-on effect, like you saw what happened in Greece and how
there's no money
Cyprus
left because they've given it all away. And
yeah. I mean, just think about that for a second. None of us are roadmen. We touched on that before, but like, let's just say grass fucking roots. We're all on the road, and we're now shorting a little bit of draw or whatever. Are you going to give someone, like, you're going to go and give a crackhead that's got no fucking chance of paying you money for you just giving him something on tick?
No way.
They've got no chance of paying you back. Why would you give them that bit of weed or that bit of coke or whatever?
You end up owning them, don't you? That's what ends up happening.
Yeah, but so, like, from a business point of view, like, you're giving credit out to people that have got no chance of paying you back.
Yeah.
But this is a legitimate business, right?
Yeah. So
and that's completely different to illegal activities, except it's not. It's the exact same fucking thing.
It's the same concept,
just one's illegal and one's not.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, but it's mad when you think about it. You break these things down, you're like, fuck. Like,
but there's a bit of a stigma growing with the banks anyway about, if they're even going to be here forever. There's all these, like, cryptocurrencies coming out.
Yeah. Which they don't have control over.
Yeah, which they don't have that, and they don't like it.
Yeah, of course.
But then, they're telling people to save their money all the while inflation's going up. So your money that you're saving isn't actually the value that you've actually got. So they're encouraging bad behaviours to people, and they know what they're doing, by the way. Like,
of course they do.
They're reusing everybody's money to go and make 10% while we're making like 3 or 4% of our money.
On some level, it is the greatest scam of all time. Like, you hear Grant Cardone talk about it with the whole mortgage thing's a big scam. They're like, the dream is to own your own property, and, like, they push towards it, whatever. So you're stuck now for like the next 25, 30, 35 years, and now, like, in the last 10, 15 years, like, they're just pushing up the retirement age. Before you know it, like, you're getting mortgaged up to the time that you're 80, 90 years old.
And that's why you got to make debt work for you.
100%, exactly.
That's the aim.
That's the difference. It's the mindset shift of, like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, so I'm going to learn it. And it's, again, like, why only learn from your own mistakes, especially if you're playing at this level over here? Like, go and look at and observe what people that are wealthy
have already done.
Already done or doing. And let me learn from them, because, like, you don't pay tax on borrowing money. So, like, go and borrow as much money as possible, but not for the holiday or the car or the watch or the clothes. Go and borrow money and invest it in a property or invest it in a business that's like you can grow and get like so much of a return in a much shorter space of time. The other mad thing is as well, like you could have loads of money in the bank, and by the way, like you're only insured for 85 grand of money in the bank anyway. So like if a bank goes bust, like you only at the moment. So if you've
got like 200 grand in the bank, you just got 85 covered.
So that's currently. Like at any given point, they could change that law and be like, actually, none of it's covered. Look what happened in Cyprus, man.
We knew someone that invested in like a Cyprus type bank, and they lost a lot of money. So
So anyone in the know was like calling all their friends and family, like, listen, get your fucking money out of the bank right fucking now. But I know people that had millions of euros in the bank, and got left with 300,000 euros. We're talking an entire life's work, life savings. Like inheritance for children and grandchildren, and just gone.
That's enough to top you.
100%.
Yeah.
See, 100%.
So what would you? So when people come to you, what do you do? Sit with them. What would you recommend people do? Or is it a whole? This
is gonna start charging. He's gonna give me the bills.
Would you want to put that on a debit card or credit card? No. The reality is that I can't answer that question for the simple fact of I don't know enough about someone and their business to just be able to So it's very it depends
specific.
So look, the things that people normally come to me and the kind of words that they're using is like, I've got up and down cash flow and it's stressing me out all the time. So then we help them have consistent cash flow. Like, so there's mechanisms, there's things that you can do to do that. People come to me and say, look, we work with a lot of trades and construction business owners. They come to me and say, like I get to the end of a job and I'm like, where the fuck's the profit? Like I priced it up. There's supposed to be profit in the job. Like, where the fuck is it? So we help them price for profit in the first place, manage the jobs right, and make sure that there's predictable profit in the business at the end of each job and at the end of each week, month, quarter and year. People come to me and say, like, I'm a great carpenter, I'm an unbelievable chippy, brilliant sparky, like I'm a great plumber, but no one's ever sat me down and told me how I should run my business.
And it's a totally different dynamic. Because you like, it's good to have a talent, a skill, ability, but to actually understand the responsibility that you actually have to do if you want to have a healthy, successful business.
It's a minefield and it's a minefield.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
I think it's one of the hardest businesses and industries to be in. The reason I say that is because, like, if you're an office-based business, then you're based in the office, and so like you can do the office-based stuff as well as the service that you happen to be doing in the office. But if you're a tradesman and you're out and about, like you're out and about all day, but there's still an element of your business that requires office-based work to be done. You might not have an office, and that's fine, but you're up late, like doing invoices and paperwork.
Honestly, there was a period of time when I was very determined to make this work, where it would be getting up at like 5 a.m, jumping on the laptop, going straight out to work, doing like a 12-hour shift, driving around the whole of London, fixing all these different things, coming back home, jumping back on the laptop, doing the invoicing. And it was like for a long period of time. And you know what? It was making progress. It was positive, but God, the mental health part, it was tough. It was really tough. And I drove myself to some dark places, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get to where you got to get to.
Because you realise, I would imagine, that you had an enough is enough moment, and you realise that that's not what you wanted for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd been in the industry at that point for maybe like 12, 13 years, and I'd done a lot of graft leading up to that point anyway. So I was just like, I wanted to play the cards I was dealt with. I wanted to maximise my opportunity, get in and then get out. That was the mentality. But I think I spoke to someone else about this before, about it was about what I felt like I would deserved as well. This came from a deserving place, and that motivated me enough on a daily basis to push through any, I'm tired, I need a break and all of this. Like, there was none of that. It was totally focused on the end target. And do you know what? And I was very grateful to get to where I got to. But it was one hell of a ride to get to there, and the show must go on. Like, the job is never done as well. You can't ever think to yourself, I've made it, because as soon as you do, you're going backwards. And like, that's another trap.
Another trap is like people start spending the money before they've got it.
100%.
Like, just you let your mind go into the wrong places, man. You got to stay focused on your lane.
Yeah.
But like, arguably, you wouldn't appreciate everything that you've got now if you didn't go through that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like, you know, God willing, like I'm sitting around with lots of children and lots of grandchildren, and they're asking me like, oh, like tell us about your experiences and tell us about your life and like, your ups and downs and your successes. I don't want to say I started a business, there was a couple of challenges, but it was relatively easy. Yeah. Like, I want to fucking pound the experience and the fucking sleepless nights and the anxieties and the stress and the emotional roller coaster that you go through, because
it's real.
Yeah,
it's
because
real.
you can take everything as a rejection in business, because especially when you're starting out and you're by yourself, like if someone doesn't pay you or doesn't want to use you or goes and uses someone else or whatever, it's difficult at that stage not to take that personally as a personal rejection. That's a daily, like multiple times a day rejection. That's fucking tough, man.
That is very tough. Yeah,
like I've realised like recently, like training salespeople, I'm like, look, it's fucking brutal, man. You're gonna get rejected all day, every day. Like, are you sure you're up for it? Yeah, I'm sure. Are you fucking sure? Like,
But do you know what? I love that anyway. Like, going through these kind of uncomfortable moments, you get to really grow through that. Like, and these young people that you've got working for you that haven't done it, if they're really up for the challenge, you know, the beauty of what it looks like on the other side, if they actually grow through it, is wicked.
Oh, like, mate, it's like, with all the shit, and we know there's a lot of fucking shit, the flip side is when things click in business and you created that whole business from scratch, like, there's very few feelings that are up there with that. Like, for me, that's up there with like our daughter's been born, and like, like for me, it's up there, man. It's up there. Wedding day, like, it's up there. Do you know what I mean?
Now you can experience the fruits of your labour, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what you've earned and what you've been through,
and
the person you became through that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
That's the main thing.
It's you know, like people talk about, like, you know, faking it until you're making it, but that was gold what you just said there, because you've got to behave your way to success.
Exactly.
Like, you've got to learn and take action and behave like it and learn from that.
And do you know what? I think the other key in all of this, it's not about the end destination. It is literally about the journey every step of the way. Like, don't wish it all away, because that's what all the fun and the excitement, the hype, it's all the middle that actually counts.
That is, like, there's so many golden, like just in the last fucking 60 seconds of what you guys have just said. But that, I heard someone say that, I think it was this morning, I lose track of the days. But if just you compare two people, that if just to say me and you have got to walk 30 miles and I'm focused on the destination, but you enjoy walking, you're going to be able to walk further than the 30 miles than me that's just focused on the destination. And you're going to have a better fucking time going through it. And if it takes you however many hours and days and weeks and months to walk those 30 miles,
doesn't matter. You're enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You
and it goes back down to
you?
what you focus on. Like, why would you focus on shit that puts you in a bad mood or negative energy or anxiety or whatever? I'm not an expert, but you can control your mind insofar as I'm going to focus on these things. I'm going to put myself around certain types of people that make me feel a certain way, or listen to certain tracks that make me feel a certain way, or go for walks in certain places, or go on holiday in certain places, or drive. Like, you just got to be self-aware enough to be like, there's these scenarios make me feel like shit. So until you deal with that, and I'm not an expert in that field, but until you deal with whatever demons you've got,
keep going back round.
Just focus on, like, the things that put you in a certain energy. You know, if you look at people like Tony Robbins, who, you know, in many respects, like, people see him as like the godfather of the personal development world, right? Obviously, he had people that he learned from above him that are, you know, slowly all passing away now, unfortunately, like Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn, all these guys. But he's like, if you look at all the people that are smashing it today, right? Not just talking about influencers, but like real fucking powerhouses. Like, pretty much every word that comes out of their mouth is gold. Like, a lot of roads, if not all of them, all lead back to Tony Robbins. And so, like, if this geezer at the apex of his career, and so many people are learning from him, so many, like, millions of people are impacted in a positive way, and this guy, before he goes on stage, like, is focused on the things that he can control, his own energy and his own physiology. So if you've ever seen him on TV or ever been to any of his seminars or anything, he has a little trampoline behind the stage, right? And he just jumps on that for a few minutes. He changes his physiology. Then he changes his language that he's telling himself, I'm going to fucking smash this. Like, going back to like the thing that Michael Jordan used to say, and a lot of people have taken it from him as well, and for me as well. Like, I've adopted it as well on my own level. Like, people for years, you say to Michael Jordan, why and how do you play so fucking hard every game? And he pauses and he's like, there's a kid out there that is only ever going to have the opportunity because of their financial circumstances to come and see me play once in their life.
Nice, deep.
If I don't play today or I don't play well today, that's the one time that kid is ever going to get to see me.
Yeah.
I'm showing out today.
Yeah.
And so, like...
Selfless service.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's all about frame of mind.
Mate,
what you can put yourself... Like, we've spoken about this, about how you... Whatever frame of mind you put yourself in is exactly what the sort of outcome you're going to get. So reframing is a fundamental part of...
Mate, 100%. Like, and you know what the crazy thing is, and this is like, you know, I mentioned earlier about, like, for so many years I had this like inferiority complex, and I was being a dick to other people and whatever, and it took me a long time to learn what I was doing and correct it. I've been a basketball fan since I was a kid. Like, I've been a Michael Jordan fan since I was a kid, and I knew this fucking statement for years. I heard him say it fucking like live sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sick.
But it never fucking properly resonated.
Yeah, you weren't ready to...
I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready, bro.
I'm 41 years old, yeah? I wasn't ready until, do you know when it fucking clocked? When the penny dropped? On Friday the 16th of September, 2022.
I swear.
Yeah, because I had some bad fucking news, and I was due to go and speak at Expert Empires in front of 500 people, and I did not want to go. I didn't give a fuck about the presentation, like anything. The organisers who were friends of mine, so sorry if you're listening, like... But I didn't give a fuck about anything because I was so focused on what was going on in my life at the time. And so the circumstances got to a place where I was able to go and speak on stage. And I've never done this before. I got there 22 minutes before going on stage. Normally I'm there all day. I want to meet people in the audience. I want to connect. I want to, because I think that helps with the presentation if you can bring people in that you've met that day and spoken to, and it makes it more relevant and relatable. And so... Just before, that came into my mind, and I was like, look, there's bigger things going on in my life than this presentation. So on some level, I actually don't give a fuck what happens.
Okay.
But as I'm here now, I'm going to give these people the time of their life in the next 30 minutes. Like, I'm going to give them everything. I'm going to be so fucking connected, and there's only just me and that one other person in the room. And when I look at the next person, it's just me and you. No one else exists. Right. And I'm going to go all in. And it was... by far and away the best presentation I've ever done in my life.
Amazing.
Because of that level of, I was able to. Now the trick is I don't know how I'm going to get back to that space.
You raised the bar too high now.
Yeah, but it's just
no way
a muscle that you've got to train, I guess.
Exactly.
Because you told me about this person that came on stage once that like really brought some low negative energy, and you were there and you was witness.
I probably shouldn't mention her name.
No, we don't need to mention.
No. So imagine a scenario, yeah. So I've been a big fan of going to conferences like in America, Grant Cardone, 10X Growth Conference, and this one particular growth conference, there was like 9,100 people in the audience, and I was one of them, and I was in the nosebleed seats, and that's where I got like the buzz of like. I was like, I need to be on fucking stage, like. That's my own thing. Anyway, so 9,100 people there. I think they had like 21 speakers over the course of 2 or 3 days. I can't remember now. And like you can imagine, everything in America is bigger and louder and whatever. Grant Cardone is like the epitome of that as well. So like every speaker that come on stage, like their fucking intro tune was like you could feel the fucking beeline. Like they're speakers that are like 10 times the size of me. Like anyway, so they introduced this woman. I never heard of her, but she's a big deal in America, right? She had sold, I think, over $1 billion worth of stuff on the equivalent of QVC, teleshopping, right? So she's a big deal in America. Anyway, so massive intro, like all the Americans there, like they're fucking, like everyone's hyper.
Going ham.
Yeah. So she comes on stage and she looks sick, like she's like ready, right? The first fucking words that come out of her mouth, she's like, get up off your seats. Show me some fucking respect. Get up off,
and
I'm like, oh shit. Oh, like bro, she just lost 9,100 people like that. And she's got an hour's worth of presentation to go. She just lost everyone.
Yeah, went completely the opposite
direction. And do you know what? It got even worse, right? So the presentation was just a mess, yeah, after that. Because she was just trying to fucking recover.
Too hard. Is that what it? What was it?
I think she just got hyped up, man.
Oh, okay. Like it was came with the wrong energy.
Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas,
cringy.
like, bro, unbelievably cringy. Right?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Bless her, yeah. So there was a Facebook group leading up to this event, and there must have been about maybe like 33,000 people in the Facebook group. Not everyone got tickets to go to the event, but like everyone was in the group, right? Mm-hmm. And bless her, man, like. She got absolutely destroyed in that Facebook group.
That's tough, man.
And for the next 3 days, like, bless her, man, she responded to every single one of those thousands of messages.
She hold it, yeah.
Yeah. So massive respect for her for doing that.
Yeah, fair play.
But it just goes to show, like, whether you're speaking on stage in front of like 10 people or 9,000 people, or whether you're going into a boardroom or going into a job interview, like, just be like, number one, self-aware, number two, know your audience, and number three, just try and connect, like, person to person, rather than like, I think she just got swallowed up by the hype.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you know what I mean?
Got a bit too much.
Maybe it's the biggest conference you've ever spoken at before. Like,
because you, sorry,
no, go on, bro.
Because you've done some TEDx talks yourself, haven't you? So you've been on stage a few times.
Yeah.
So what was what you remember the first time you ever done that? The first well, I'm sure you did.
Well, so I think there's levels to it, man. So I was doing low-level public speaking for years at like networking events, and you get up and stand and talk in front of people, and I fucking hated it. I hated it. Yeah, I hated it for 2 years, even to the point I used to like go out and pretend I was in the toilet and hoping they wouldn't call my name out by the time I come back, and then they would, oh, we missed your name, George. Go on, like, for fuck's sake, man, I'm fucking sweating. Can't you see, like, my fucking armpits and shit? But then I was like, look, actually, like, this thing, I don't fucking like it, but let me just pause for a second. This could be really beneficial, like, for my business, for my personal brand, for connecting with people, for being able to pass my message on and help people. And so I started to take it more seriously and structure it and practice it, and got better and better at it and whatever. And then one Friday, in fact, it was Friday 21st of November 2014, because it was such a big deal for me. You guys have heard of the film and the book Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
So my wife bought me that book. And then, like, watched the film.
We were talking about this.
Yeah. Watched the film, loved it, whatever. And then Jordan Belfort, when he came out of prison, he was on the speaker circuit. So he was going around the world, like, running these events, and he was like the headline speaker. So it's the first time I went to one of these events. So I'm driving down there, and as I'm driving down there in my smart car, like, at this point in time in my life, in like late 2014, I'm getting really frustrated, like really pissed off with, like, people are coming to me for insolvency or debt advice, but naturally they're only coming to me when they've got serious debt problems. So it's like the 11th hour. So the later people come to me, the less options we've got available. And I just found that really fucking frustrating, because I wanted to help people prevent the problems, but no one's going to come and talk to me when they don't have a problem. They only came to me when they had the problem. And at that point, it's like
a little bit
too late. Or, So I was just like, I was really fucking frustrated. And so put the music back on in the car, drove down there, get there, and there's a brochure on every seat, and open the brochure up, and there's lots of different speakers, and Jordan Belfort is like the headline speaker, right? But I didn't know there's going to be other speakers. And so this speaker comes on called Andy Harrington, and he's a public speaking coach, and he's there doing a presentation. Bro, this guy absolutely blew me away. And the thing that the main thing that blew me away is he goes, through the art of public speaking, you can attract your ideal clients, i.e. the people you can help the most, at the time that you can help them the most.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, it's like he was sitting next to me in the car.
Profound, isn't it?
Yeah. So I signed up to work with him. I paid $2,000 plus VAT for a 4-day course. Like, never done that before. Drove home and told my wife it was £1,000 because I was still trying to come to terms with it.
Like spending that money on investing in yourself.
Now, bearing in mind, what you don't know, earlier on in 2014, I wasn't earning much money, so my wife had paid the mortgage 8 months in a row, which, like, really fucked with my head. Not because I'm a male chauvinist pig and it's my responsibility, but, like, I didn't feel like I was bringing enough to the table. So that was fucking with my head and my masculinity and everything at the time. Let alone we're almost out of that now, and I'm contributing to the mortgage, and now I've just invested in this thing. I'm like, how the fuck do I?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's
justify
my wife,
that decision to her.
So I told her it was £1,000, and, like, ironically, she wasn't even bothered. But so that was in November. January, I went and did the 4-day course. Blew my mind.
Wow.
Signed up to work with him for the next 12 months at $1,000 a month, right?
Jeez.
Like, I'm like, for context, like, at the time, I'm probably doing like 30 grand a year in turnover. Like,
wow.
Like,
wow.
So it's a big deal.
So this is, you're putting everything into you.
Yeah.
Yourself,
so it's a big deal. And so I just went all in on, and he was my first mentor, like, that opened up my eyes to this whole personal, professional development space of, like,
amazing.
Yeah, just having a coach, a mentor, like, learning public speaking. Public speaking just helped with my confidence. Of course, with public speaking, with videos, like social media, like confidence in conversations like this, boardroom meetings, like,
it's a skill.
Yeah, it just turn me into the next best version of myself.
Amazing, man.
Which
so
was
the right decision, bro.
Yeah. And I look back and I'm like, I know it's all not about money, but the hundreds of thousands and millions that I've been able to make over that time.
Yeah, because of that investment.
For me and my family, but also for people that have come and, been attracted to me and my business because of it.
So I was listening to Rob Moore the other day, and somebody said, how much have you invested in yourself? And he said, roughly about 1.2 million. He's invested through mentorship. And I think, do you know what? I don't think people understand the power of mentorship, by the way.
No, but when you say those numbers, it's quite scary. And I know my numbers, and I'm happy to share. Like, I've spent well over 100 grand in the last 3 years on my own personal professional development. And I don't even flinch.
No, not
because it's going into you, isn't it?
It's going into me,
to invest in.
But the return on investment,
it's massive.
In terms of actual money back.
It's
if we're talking literal.
Well, the return on investment, it can be as big as you want to make it. Right? You're getting access and knowledge for high level elite people in their field. And if you do the right things with it, make the right moves with it, then it's worth every penny.
If you think of that, and that was in 2015. And you fast forward to one of your questions a few minutes ago was what was it like that first time that I spoke on a big stage? The first time I would consider a big stage would be Expert Empires, 500 people. The pressure was on, Lewis Howe, someone that. So again, for context, I'm at that conference with this woman who's just destroyed herself, but there was 21 speakers, and the best 5-6 speakers, one of them was Lewis Howe's. So I've been following him for a while anyway, and I'm watching him on stage, and I'm like, this guy is incredible. As the maybe top 5, top 6 speakers over the course of the couple of days, and that was in when was that? That was February 2018, and then fast forward 13 months later to March 2019, I'm speaking on stage at an event in London. And my man's the headliner speaker. And I'm I'm sitting in the nosebleed seats that cost me $97, watching him speak. And now I get to meet the guy, chat to the guy. I made some stupid joke which he didn't find funny. I don't think we should share that. And now I'm like, fuck. And I did a video on it, and I was like, I don't think you realise how much of a big deal this is for me. 30 months ago, I'm sitting there watching you, being like, I want to be like you one day. And this guy's younger than me, by the way. And then now I'm chatting to you, and I've just been on stage, and now you're next, and
that's a short period of time, 13 months as well.
It just blew my mind. So that was such a big deal for me, speaking at Expert Empires, and now I've spoken at 6 Expert Empires, and I've done a TEDx talk, and I'm looking at my diary with my PA for the rest of this year. I've got a speaking gig in Birmingham in May, next week. I've got where else have we got? We've got in September, I've got Brighton, Belfast. In November, I've got I think another one in London, another one in Rugby near Coventry. A lot of these are now paid speaking gigs as well. But just
brilliant.
Yeah, and so you go back and say, oh, you're a dickhead. How could you spend £1,000 a month when you couldn't really afford it at the time? But I knew that it would come good at some point.
Yeah. There's no better investment than yourself anyway.
And also you're around the right people.
Yeah, that's key.
So
100%.
This guy will introduce me to the next one. He's look, this is one of my best students. He will smash it. Yeah, man. He will smash it for you in front of your audience. You're getting all of these things. You just open doors.
Because that's what I was saying to myself last year, that I wanted to start boxing. I told you. And one thing I found is that I've been training with all of these pro boxers, so you keep surrounding yourself with these people that have been in the field for a long time, and you get slapped about, there's no doubt about it, and as long as you ain't got an ego, you really kind of start growing, going places, and it's literally all about the environment that you surround yourself. If you want to be an expert in that field, you've got to surround yourself with people that are doing it day in, day out.
Mate, 100%. I've just started jiu-jitsu. And,
nice.
So I was in a lesson the other day, and fuck me, that was humbling.
Yeah.
And I said to the guy straight, I was like, look, I've got an ego. I'm going to tell you straight. But I'm in a place in my life where I need humbling. I want it. I crave it. I want to be fighting for my life. And that's exactly what it is. When he was doing the fucking moves on me,
making you feel it,
bro. I was like, I'm tapping out, because I can't fucking breathe.
Yeah.
And so now when I'm like, oh, I've got a fucking scary business meeting.
Yeah.
I've got to make a sales call. Fuck off, man. Yesterday I was like, I couldn't breathe. I was about to the geezer could have ended me.
Snap, tap, or crack.
Yeah, man. And I'm just like, that's the kind of environment I want to be in now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it just shrinks the other things that like it's very easy to get concerned about in life, like that you think is a big problem, but actually in the grand scheme of things, it isn't.
Really helps put things in perspective.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, fair play. And so you've actually shared like a stage with quite a number of people, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
some big ones, man. Some big ones.
The last person I remember was Stephen Bartlett at Nick James.
That was last
event.
September. Yeah,
that was last September.
Bro.
Yeah, Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, just being associated with people like that, like people that I admire. Like I don't look at age anymore. Like I mentioned Lewis. Like these guys are all younger than me, but I don't look at that. I look at who's the person? What are their values? What are their achievements? Are their achievements aligned to the kind of things that I value? But yeah, Stephen Bartlett, David Goggins, Ed Milet, Lewis Howes, people like Rob Moore, like a few times now, which I look up to and admire.
He's blown up on social media, isn't he? He's really going for it, isn't he? He's talking to all the controversial people.
Well, he knows what he's doing, man. He's playing the game.
He's
not everyone's cup of tea, but good. Like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. You're not everyone's ever.
You can't be. You once you start putting yourself out there, I generally believe like in a room full of 10 people, 5 people are going to like you, 5 people are going to dislike you. If you're being true, as long as you're being true to yourself, it doesn't really fucking matter after that.
100%. And there's levels to it as well. And actually, like,
levels.
Society almost tells us, oh, this person's like outwardly rude, doesn't like you, or like I use race as the example, right? So you got people that are outwardly racist, yeah, and you're like, that person's a piece of shit. They're racist. They can fuck off, whatever, right? But actually, let's just pause for a second. There's a level of gratitude for that type of racist because at least you know where you fucking stand. Yeah. What about the people that are
that
racist behind closed doors?
That's worse.
Do you know what I mean? At least you know
what you're dealing with.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's why authenticity always wins, right?
And so that's why I use race as the obvious, like a big, impactful example. But actually, let's just use that in other areas of your life. Like who seems like they want you to win, but actually doesn't. Like you want to be grateful for the people that actively say, fuck you, I hope you lose, I hope you fail. Because at least you know where you stand.
Well, and they're good motivators as well, aren't they? We need people like them in our lives. They because you got to show somebody, right? Like,
and that's the other thing as well. Like going back to like when something shit happens in life, like that's happened now. Like you can't change that.
It's done.
So you can either wallow on it and be like, and just have that hanging over you for however many years you're going to allow that to, or you can be like, you know what, I'm going to get something out of that.
Yeah.
You know,
what's the gain? What can I learn? What can I take from
it?
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, and again, like I feel like I'm admitting to a lot of embarrassing stuff here with like, you know, the inferiority complex and being a dick to other people. The other thing of it, and I've just kind of like sugarcoated it or made it sound amazing. Started working with Andy Harrington in 2015 in January, and like, you know, I learned all this stuff, and then fast forward 4 years, and now it's 2023 and whatever. Like I'm on all these stages, but the reality is that I started working with him in January 2015, and he gave me a 5-step plan to follow. And step 1 was social media. Like step 1 was start banging out videos every single day.
Wow.
Right? That was step 1 out of 5 steps. And I procrastinated like a dickhead for 6 months. And the thing that got me to stop being a dickhead was, so that was January 2015. I got the 5-step plan. I've done nothing with it. February, March, April, May, June. I'm in Cyprus now. With my wife Maria. She's heavily pregnant. Baby's due in August, and it's the end of June, and we're out for dinner in Limassol with 2 other couples who are also pregnant, and I get a video call from my sister, my older sister, and it's like impromptu. We hadn't planned to have a video call, like a FaceTime call. She just calls me out at a restaurant. I'm like, this is fucking weird. So like, I've answered the phone, and she's like, can you talk? I'm like, yeah. She's like, so I walked away from the restaurant table, go around the corner, and my mum's there as well, and my mum's just been diagnosed with myeloma blood cancer. So that was obviously a shit time. We get our heads around that in terms of what's going to be the plan moving forward. And the very next day at Magronisol Beach in Ayanaba, like I'm there with my missus. I pulled I had a tripod anyway that I bought from 5 months ago and done fuck all with, and it was in the suitcase. I took it with me. I plonked it in the fucking sand, and I started. That was day 1 of me filming. Of me like putting videos out. And it was because I was like, fuck, like you just don't, like you said before, like you just don't know how much time you got, man.
Short, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just don't know. Like I'm so blessed with so many different things in my life and so many people and meeting you and like people like you in my life and all this stuff, and I've got an amazing family and business, touch wood, is going well. We've got opportunities. I just had a full body MOT. I'm still waiting for the results. Like anything, like You know, so like there's
changes.
Yeah, man, you just don't know, and that's been bugging me for 2 months now, like because I've been waiting for that appointment. I was supposed to be a month ago, but unfortunately the doctor's dad passed away. But I've been waiting for that now, and I'm waiting for the results, and it's been bugging me for the last 2 months until I had it. And because I'm like, shit, man, like I've got young kids I've got to raise. I still haven't like reached my potential. Like all this, like I've updated my life policies and all this other stuff. Like I'm getting all these things in place as if like if I die today, like my wife and my kids are taken care of because of that. The business, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. Like that's where my head's at. And it's kind of, whilst I'm very practical, when it's time to go to sleep and you're with your own thoughts and whatever, I'm like, fuck, man. Like it's all good and well having all these things in place, but like, my kids are going to grow up without a dad. Like all these, like, nothing's even happened yet. I'm just like, do you know what I mean?
Creating
like,
scenarios when they're not.
And so now I've had the test. Like I'm cool. Whatever comes, but I'm in a much better headspace. Okay. So like, but you just got to like go through this stuff. You just don't know like how much time you've got, and you know there's people around you, and people die young, and like
we were talking about this yesterday. I think like as when you are younger. You have no concept of time.
You live forever.
Yeah, you live forever.
You think
I don't know. I don't know if it's like a late 20-30 thing, but all of a sudden, like you feel under loads of pressure. You got to like do all this. Like it's not nowhere near enough time in the day to actually get what you need to done.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same token, you can't run around like a headless chicken because like shit, I'm gonna die soon. You're like fucking. You know what I mean? You got to like be methodical and strategic and like. Pack a punch, not just like be swinging.
That's why it's important to do the things that fill you with good energy, like keep you going, keep you buzzing, keep you on that high all the time.
And that's great people and connections, and all the other stuff is great. But when I look back at like the months in business that we've had a record month, like I'm craving connection and deep conversation. Do you know what I mean? Look, I get that if you flipped it and you were like, oh, you're every day, you're having deep and meaningful conversations. You've got no fucking money. Like you've got to find the balance. But the point is that it's not just about the successes and the material stuff and that stuff. It's connections. I just think to myself like something I've been thinking about recently because of what I just shared about the health thing is that like who are the people that you've got a deep connection with, like even to the point where, and this is fucking, I've never like thought this before recently, and I've never said this to anyone, but like, who are your 6 people? And the 6 people are like, what 6 people are going to step up and want to carry your coffin, like if you're in that space, like, and that's the default, and I just that just comes back to this is not me like intending to be morbid or bring like a negative energy. It's just about who are the people outside of your family, but there's like, whether it's like your boys or your close family member, like who are the people that are like they value your life so much that out of respect to you and your family, they want to be involved in that process. And I think about that kind of stuff. Bro.
Yeah, I you know, you even find out when you feel like you've like hit rock bottom, you generally find out a lot who your friends are in those times as well, when you need that pickup and. Yeah, you're looking around and you're expecting certain people to be there at times and they're not there. So it's like, And the
other thing as well, man, like, again, like this can sound super morbid, but like with a positive spinners, and I want to be in a position where like my life hasn't been for nothing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like an impact. Yeah, like if
imprint.
Hypothetically, I die, like I would want. Obviously, we know I'm going to die, but like in the scenario now,
might not.
I might not, there might be some new pill or something. But like at my funeral, I would love people to come up to my daughters and my wife and say, you know what, like we've never met, but your dad or your husband like had a big impact in my life. Like he really helped me. Yeah. You know, whether that was from afar and we never met, or whether it was someone that I worked closely with, or someone that I got to know. That's the thing. Like that people are going to remember, not like.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Like, the materialistic
what
things.
Because once you've made like a substantial amount of money, you kind of realize that, you know, there's more. There's other things that also matter just as much, and which are profound and have a deep, deep
like
thing
I heard Ed Milet talk about this. I think again, I don't know if it was yesterday or today. All the days merged together. It seems like, but like he was just saying, like, you know, you can tell a lot about someone's values after they've made money. They still get up with the same hunger because they're not driven by money anymore.
No.
Like, okay, you want more money? Okay, great. Like, you want to be a billionaire? You want to be a 2-time billionaire? Okay, great. But like, like it's the impact.
Do you know what though? Like, even making money, like, I've always looked at it from the angle of it's about what you do with it that counts. You know, you can make money and you can have it all to yourself. I knew my dad's ex-boss was a multi-millionaire. But if you're not sharing it, or if you don't even get to live to see it once you've got it, it's like, what's the point of it in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So sharing in success.
And it's an amplifier, isn't it? It's like, you're not going to be a different person. You're going to be an amplified version. If you're a dick, you're going to be a bigger dick. If you're a good person, you're going to be a better person.
Yeah. I think it's just about what's necessary, being necessary in life, you know. Be a good person, give back, but protect what you've got as well. Like, don't allow people to infiltrate it. And because some people will just take as much as smash and grab. There's smash and grab people out there, left, right and centre. They'll take whatever 100%. They can. So
there's two things that I hold dear to my heart, and this is what I strive to be hopefully known for, and that's connection and cash flow. That's it. Like, I want to be known for someone. Yeah, that people I actually want connections with people. Yeah. And if there's no connection, I'm not trying to force it.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's like friendship or relationship or clients or like whatever it is, it's not about forcing it. And cash flow, because that's the thing that I learn and that I'm interested in, and that I constantly try and sharpen the axe every single day and transfer that information to other people so that they can make the best of it as well.
And to be fair, that's what I love about your group sessions where we go, or when I do come to them anyway, is that all of the people that you've got in there, generally you have really, really healthy relationships with. And there's like 12, 13, 15 people there, and they're all looking up to you, and they're all, like, you can tell they can't wait to talk to you, and it's exciting. So
I appreciate you saying that, but look, I'm just looking for good people.
Yeah.
Right? And again, there's levels to this shit, right? So when I first started, and when you first started, like, I can definitely speak from my experience. Like, I was like a dog with like his tongue hanging out. Like, anyone that showed an interest, like that wanted to become a client, I'm all in. Like, whatever. Like, in time, you build a sustainable, stable business. Now you can be a bit more
selective.
Choosy, more selective about the people that you're not with. And look, I'm blessed insofar as all the people that I work with, like, I would like take working aside, take money aside, I would actually socialize with. Yeah. Like, I actually have things in common. Like, they inspire me, and hopefully they feel inspired, and we can connect, and we can share ideas, and we can both grow from every conversation, every exchange.
He took his clients to Barcelona. He took 3 of his.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
See, because you give back, isn't it? Give back because you want to, and you know,
these are good people.
They're
I
good
thought,
people,
like,
bro.
I'm going to Dubai next year. I can't wait. I've got it all.
First class. I can't wait either.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you, the fees have gone up.
Yeah, I know.
But likewise with you, bro. You take your.
Yeah. We went Kevin Hart last week. I took my team out as well.
How was that? It must have been amazing, right?
It was good.
The first time I've actually seen the other side, like the VIP of the O2, because it opens your eyes, isn't it, to another world, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, all walks of life people in there. But you're really good, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like,
and he's a big deal as well, man.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah. He's brilliant. I've always wanted to see him for years, and I think this was a double whammy of knowing that I got to see him, but I also got to do something for my people as well. You know, which was nice, because I think like when you're reciprocating and doing things for each other, that's when the magic really starts happening. If the transaction's off and the boss man just wants everybody to work, or the workers just don't want to work, for example, like when people start giving to each other, that's when you can really start building some real success together.
It's all about relationships, man.
It is.
Like, business is just about relationships.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Like, I think we need to wrap this up. So, I really appreciate you coming on today.
I appreciate the invitation, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, we've inspired people to get in touch with you, and you never know what happens next.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming, George. It was nice to meet you, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for inviting me, man. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Thank you so much.
Proud of you guys, man. This is what you've done so far in such a short space of time has been amazing.
Yeah,
very impressive.
Yeah, look forward to seeing what happens next.
Yeah,
but I know you've been a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
George, so thank you.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna all your guys are gonna end up having podcasts, aren't they?
One by one.
You're just gonna do the circuit, isn't it?
Yeah. So why not, man? Like, we all grow together.
That's the best bit.
Yeah, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.